They say the deep ocean keeps its secrets better than any desert, jungle, or frozen wasteland on Earth. Down there, sunlight dies before it even has the chance to touch the ground, and pressure rises to levels that could crush steel like paper. Yet in that suffocating darkness, life thrives in ways we still struggle to understand. But nothing, absolutely nothing, prepared the scientific world for what a small team of divers recorded on a remote expedition in the northern Indian Ocean. Because on that day, the ocean didn't just give up a secret. It gave up a nightmare, a living contradiction, a creature that shouldn't exist. The donkey-fish. It began with a survey mission standard deep-sea mapping, routine exploration, nothing extraordinary. The divers were part of an interdisciplinary team tasked with inspecting sponge colonies and unusual coral bloom patterns that had been appearing in satellite imagery. They expected to find nothing more than a few new sponge species, or perhaps a rare crustacean. Instead, the moment their lights swept across the seafloor, they found massive circular indentations in the sand, almost like footprints, but far too large, perfectly spaced, and disturbingly deep. The impressions ran in parallel lines, stretching beyond visibility. Something big had walked or slithered through this region. Something alive. The divers followed the tracks, moving slowly to conserve oxygen, their lights cutting through thick curtains of drifting sediment. And then, out of pure blackness, it moved. A shape so bizarre that for a moment, their brains rejected it entirely. The creature glided forward with the fluid motion of a fish, but its head belonged on land. It was unmistakably shaped like a donkey's elongated muzzle, large nostril cavities, forward-facing eyes that softened and adapted for water, with smooth skin instead of fur and delicate gill structures flaring behind the jaw. Its body was long, muscular, scaleless, and shimmering with bioluminescent patterns that rippled like electricity beneath its skin. Nobody moved. For several seconds, all that existed were the lights, the creature, and a silence so absolute it bordered on surreal. Then the creature released a low, resonant vibration, a sound that traveled through water like a pulse, shaking the divers' chests. Later analysis would show that the frequency perfectly matched the range used by large mammals for communication across long distances. But this was no mammal, and no fish either. One diver slowly raised his camera, and the creature reacted. Instantly, its eyes, large, dark, and strangely expressive, shifted toward the lens. It moved closer, cautiously, almost intelligently. It did not flee. It did not attack. It observed. The world would later debate whether this moment proved intelligence, curiosity, or simply instinctual recognition of movement. But the footage remains haunting. The donkeyfish drifting forward in perfect silence until its massive head fills the frame, staring as though it were evaluating the diver behind the glass. When the creature finally turned, its full size became clear. The animal was enormous, easily the size of a land donkey, maybe larger. Its dorsal fin stretched across its back like a blade, its tail powerful enough to stir the sand into swirling storms with a single sweep. It left behind trails of bubbles as it glided away, disappearing into the forest of sea sponges that carpeted the seafloor. The divers were stunned, but the encounter was far from over. Moments later, another creature emerged, then another, and another. Within minutes, 4 donkeyfish surrounded the team, circling them like a herd. Their colors varied. Dramatically shades of deep crimson, shimmering silver, bright tropical blue, even bioluminescent green that pulsed in rhythmic waves. Each creature moved with deliberate coordination, as though communicating silently, forming a loose perimeter around the divers. The lead diver later described the feeling as a strange mixture of terror and awe. They weren't being hunted. They were being inspected. Suddenly, the largest donkeyfish swam forward, releasing a second vocal vibration, longer, deeper, more commanding. The others responded in unison with a series of shorter pulses. This was communication, structured and patterned, not random noise. And the divers, unsure whether they were witnessing peaceful behavior or a territorial warning, slowly began to retreat. But retreat only drew the creatures closer. The cameras recorded every second. The donkeyfish tightening the circle, swimming in synchronized arcs, creating pressure waves that forced the divers toward the sandy floor. It wasn't aggression. It was control. They were directing the humans with remarkable precision. The divers attempted to ascend slightly, but the donkeyfish rose with them, blocking their path with their massive bodies. They weren't allowed to leave. For nearly 7 minutes, the encounter continued. The largest creature finally drifted forward again, holding its position directly in front of the lead diver. Then, with an almost ritualistic grace, it lowered its head and pressed its snout gently into the sand. When it lifted its head, a cluster of small, pearl-like eggs rolled forward. The creature nudged them toward the diver. It was offering them something. Marine biologists would later theorize that this gesture might have been a test, a communication attempt, or even a method of transferring eggs to a safe location. Others speculated something far more astonishing, that the donkeyfish recognized the divers as intelligent life and attempted a form of interspecies exchange. The diver slowly extended a hand toward the eggs, unsure whether touching them would provoke aggression. The moment his glove made contact, the donkeyfish emitted a deep, almost soothing vibration. The others responded with a chorus of softer pulses. Then, as abruptly as they had arrived, the creatures turned and swam into the darkness, disappearing. Between the massive sponge towers that lined the seafloor, the water grew still. The bubble trails faded, and the divers were alone once more. When the team resurfaced, panic rippled across the deck. Their oxygen levels were dangerously low. Their breathing erratic, their footage shaky from adrenaline. But what they had captured, what they had witnessed, was beyond anything marine science had ever documented. And it was only the beginning. Within days, researchers combed through the video, analyzing frame by frame. The donkeyfish displayed advanced collective behavior, possible symbolic communication, and a body structure that defied evolutionary logic. The hybrid appearance, mammalian skull, piscine body, challenged everything known about vertebrate development. Genetic analysis of microsamples collected from the eggs revealed sequences that didn't match any known species. Not fish, not mammal, not amphibian. Something entirely new. Governments and institutions argued over legitimacy, access, and classification. Conspiracy theories multiplied. Some believed the creatures were the result of deep-sea mutation triggered by industrial waste. Others claimed ancient evolution had produced a hidden lineage of hybrid species, concealed by depth and darkness. A few even suggested extraterrestrial influence.